Good evening. I'm Jay Negrini, President of the Wilson School Board. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, September 8, 2015 School Board meeting. Could I get a roll call, please?
Dr. Shimoleski.
Here.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Here.
Mr. Hopp.
Here.
Mrs. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Metzger.
Here.
Mr. Negrini.
Here.
Mrs. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
9 for, none against.
Would everyone please rise for the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for our tardiness. We were upstairs in executive session regarding personnel matters that are not subject to the Sunshine Law, and I apologize again for keeping everyone waiting. Mr. Moravich, our announcement on public participation, please.
There's two opportunities for the public to address the board. One is on agenda items, which is immediately before the agenda begins. The other is on non-agenda items, which is at the end of the meeting. Pursuant to the Sunshine Law and board policy, it is a 3-minute opportunity. It is not question and answer, but instead is an opportunity to provide comment to the board on issues that are before it or may come before it.
Wilson, good news. We've had the start of the school year. By all accounts, the school year is going well. Children are enjoying themselves, very few tears, lots of smiles, so welcome back to everybody. Is there a motion to approve the August 17th, 2015 minutes? Mr. Martin, is there a second? Dr. Chmielewski, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Payment of bills. Dr. Chmielewski.
Mr. President, I move that we pay bills in the amount of $220,496.73 from the 2014-15 general fund, and in the amount of $1,937,483.74 from the 2015-16 general fund.
Is there a second to pay those bills? Mrs. Mack, any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Shimoleski.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hopp.
Yes.
Mrs. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Negrini.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
9 for, none against.
Are there any communications this evening?
There are none.
All right. Agenda item 4, ratification approval of the following. 4.1, request permission to approve the 2015-16 field trips and participations as attached. B, request permission to approve the Wilson Child Care Berkshire Heights Early Learning Center field trip listed below. The field trip is optional. Number of participants will be determined after permission forms are returned. The cost of the field trip plus transportation will be paid by the parent of the child attending. No cost on the district. Is there a motion to approve those agenda items? Dr. Chmielewski, is there a second? Mr. Ehrlich, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Superintendent's report. Dr. Ruth.
Thank you, President Negrini. This is a very typical report, especially for this time of year. Many different shifts as far as staffing and new hires being brought on. And there's two I'd like to point out. Kathy Hess, we want to thank her for all of her years here, 14 years at Wilson, our access coordinator, and she put us in much better stead in regards to that program. And then if Kevin would stand up just for a second. I've known Kevin since he was a 7th grader, and the family, and Kevin is moving on to a different opportunity. But Kevin, I just want to say on behalf of the board, we just really want to thank you for all of the time and effort and your expertise. You've made us a better district from a media standpoint with all your hard work, and we wish you the best. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's report? Mrs. Mack, seconded by Mr. Martin. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hopp.
Yes.
Mrs. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Negrini.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Shimoleski.
Yes.
9 for, none against.
Under consent item 6.1, accept with gratitude the following donations: $1,500 on behalf of the Leonard Coate family in lieu of flowers to the Wilson High School Art Department, and $51.15 to Green Valley Elementary from the Wells Fargo Community Support Campaign. Is there a motion to approve that agenda item? Dr. Chmielewski, is there a second? Mr. Martin, any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? The ayes have it. Under HR, 7.1, request authorization for the superintendent to make employment commitments to qualified professional applicants for the purpose of filling vacancies that occur after the September 8th, 2015 board meeting, with action to be ratified by the Board of Education at the next official meeting. 7.2, request authorization to appoint Kelly Roman to assistant principal at the high school, 10-month Act 93 at a salary of $72,724 per year, effective to be determined, who replaces Kira DeWillett, who resigned. And 7.3, request approval of the principal mentoring contract with Nancy Sinkus at $3,750 for the 2015-16 school year. Is there a motion to approve those three agenda items? Dr. Chmielewski, is there a second? Mrs. Reed, any questions or comments?
Just one comment, Kelly, if you wouldn't mind standing up. This is Kelly Roman, and we're so excited to bring her on board here. Kelly comes with a wealth of experience, Garnet Valley, a little bit of a travel from here. We're looking forward to bringing up here to Bulldog Country, and she has a very strong background in mathematics, which we hope to find and expect to find is very beneficial to our staff and our students here. Kelly, we just want to welcome you to Wilson, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack? Yes. Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. McGreen?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski?
Yes.
Mr. Early?
Yes.
9-4, none against.
Under Pupil Services, 8.1, requests approval to contract with Kids Peace National Centers Incorporated, private academic program to provide educational services to special education students on an as-needed basis at the per diem rate of $156.83 per student for the 2015-16 school year. 8.2, request permission to ratify a contract with the Vista School to provide educational services to one special education student at the rate of $47,290 for the 2015-16 school year, plus one-to-one behavior support as needed. 8.3, request permission to approve the adoption of the settlement agreement and release to directly pay Hillside School an amount not to exceed $22,000 for tuition costs for the 2015-16 school term, payments in an amount not to exceed a 5% increase in tuition costs for each subsequent term through the 2018-19 school term, plus transportation, to settle and comprise all claims raised by the parents of a special education student, and to authorize the board president and secretary to execute the agreement on behalf of the district. 8.4, request permission to ratify a contract with Barrett Therapy Services to provide speech-language services to special education students at the rate of $90 per hour, one therapist at 5 days per week, beginning August 26, 2015, and ending no later than October 30th, 2015, and one therapist 2 to 3 days per week as needed, beginning August 26, 2015 through the last student day. 8.5, requests approval to contract with the Children's Home of Reading to provide educational services to special education students referred by the district as needed at the rate of $150 per day for the 2015-16 school year. And 8.6, request permission to waive tuition for the following students: a 10th grade male high school student from August 26, 2015 to September 11, 2015, and 3 elementary female students, grades 5, 2, and 1st grade at Spring Ridge Elementary from August 26, 2015 to October 1st, 2015, pursuant to board policy number 202. Is there a motion to approve those agenda items? Mrs. Mack, seconded by Mr. Metzger. Any questions or comments? Mr. Martin?
Under 8.2, it talks about the 47,000, and then at the end of that sentence, plus one-to-one behavior support as needed. That's an additional cost in addition to the 47,000?
Dr. Long?
Do we have any idea what that could cost per hour? I don't know. Is it charged per hour? Is it, what would the charge be? So it's going to be more than that.
Plus transportation, which is still being worked on. We're looking at alternative transportation costs. So, any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
No.
Yes.
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 Under Technology and Media, 9.1, request permission to enter into a 5-year lease with Edwards Business Systems for $314.52 per month to provide 2 multifunction printers for the district. Is there a motion to approve 9.1? Dr. Chmielewski, seconded by Mrs. Reed. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Under Transportation, 13.1, requests approval of the transportation contract with Twin Valley Area School District to transport 1 Wilson student attending the Hilltop Preparatory School for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $12,740 or a rate of $70 per day. Is there a motion to approve 13.1? Mr. Ehrlich, seconded by Mrs. Reed. Any questions or comments? Mr. Martin.
I just want to make a comment. The cost of transportation for that one student is more than we pay to educate a student. It's amazing.
Well, this gets back to, again, the appropriate funding that should be coming from the federal and state level to offset these rising costs.
Right.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Dr. Chmielewski.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hop.
Yes.
Mrs. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
9-4, none against.
Under policies, this is the first reading of policy number 819, suicide awareness, prevention, and response. Since this is a first reading, there is no vote this evening that is needed. All right, moving on to committee reports. BCTC, Mr. Metzger.
Yes, we held our first of the new year meeting at BCTC East on August the 26th at 7:00 p.m. It was our first meeting with our new executive management in place. Dr. Kraft, as you may remember from last year, I had stated he was replacing Dr. Lees as our executive director of the tech school. And we have 2 brand new principals to go alongside with that. So it was quite the summer. Those folks were quite busy. But the meeting went really well. We had our assessment for school improvement presentation like we usually do. The health of the schools is pretty much the same as where Dr. Lees left it off. I'm actually looking quite forward to seeing what Dr. Kraft is going to bring to the table this year in terms of how he manages keeping the positives about how the schools are run the same while trying to innovate some new ideas. So I'll keep everyone updated to that as we progress. Our next meeting will be held on the 23rd at BCTC West Campus at 7:00 p.m. That is all.
Thank you, Mr. Metzger. BCIU, Mrs. Reed.
No report.
All right. Mrs. Richards is not here this evening. Curriculum, Mrs. Reed.
We held our first meeting of the school year, talked about some professional development, which is ongoing, as well as some standardized test results and implementing some changes in math.
Great. Extracurricular, Mr. Wolf.
Obviously, since last we met, our fall athletic programs have started competition, so just some updates on our records and how we're doing so far in no particular order. Field hockey is currently 1-1. Football started out on a good note with a win over rival Governor Mifflin on Friday, so they are 1-0. Golf is 5-0. Boys soccer 2-0. They were out in Pittsburgh for the East-West Classic. Girls soccer is 0-1. Girls tennis 1-4, and both boys and girls water polo are both 3-0. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Facilities, we're finishing up some of our summer projects. Most of them are completed. One fairly significant outstanding project is the auditorium over at Southern, putting on the finishing touches of that. That should be completed before the end of the month. Finance, Mr. Ehrlich.
No report.
HR, Mr. Hopp. No report. Mr. Martin, any word coming out of Harrisburg on a budget?
Not really. As you know, they're on vacation until September 21st. They came back for a week, and they will reconvene September 21st unless they're called back. So nothing much to say. Unfortunately, though, it's going to start impacting the state's credit rating. You got Moody's and the Standard & Poor's are looking at the ability to finance, especially some of the non-for-profits that derive some of their funds from the state, which are now in a position that they may have to borrow to sustain their operations. So that's not a positive. You know, unfortunately, both parties have decided that they're not going to cooperate.
The last I read, I believe the Republicans had talked about proposing some type of stopgap legislation, at least for some of the programs that are in dire straits with funding, that they're at least, if both sides are agreeable to those, that they'd at least get the money out for that, rather than holding up all of this money for everybody because of a few sticking points.
But he can veto that again.
That's true.
And that's the issue with that. But you're 100% correct, yes.
Okay.
And one of the other things that's not this, but obviously the EITC program, which Wilson and the other school districts depend on, the private sector is not going to be able to contribute to that because they're not sure that it's going to qualify. So it's holding up those funds that are going to the various education foundations. So there's other far-reaching things that you don't normally associate with this that's also affecting the school districts. And I saw where some school districts are going to start delaying payments.
Just as a tidbit, with the market going down to 1,600, that added another $5 billion to the pension crisis.
Is that all?
Went up 3%.
Did it? I'm sorry. So maybe it's 4.8. Yeah, I know. It's not good, though.
All right, enough of the depressing news. Ms. Kramer with some good news in PR.
Teacher nights at all the different buildings and having an opportunity to interact with our parents. And this Friday actually commemorates the 14th anniversary of September 11th. So our various schools have different activities planned for students to remember that historic day, including moments of silence, having flagpole ceremonies, and class discussions. And also we have scheduled a town hall coming up on October 7th, as parents will soon be receiving the PSBA results, and it's an opportunity for parents to come out and learn more about the PA core standards. From an Education Foundation standpoint, we completed our second annual community report that highlights how the foundation assisted the district over the past school year. So there's a copy for all of you at your chair to take a look at. We are wrapping up the employee giving campaign, which is an opportunity for Wilson faculty and staff to contribute through payroll deduction, and the dollars raised through that campaign go to support the venture grant programs. So we're giving right back to the district to support innovative programs for teachers and students. And we are hosting the second annual Wilson Back to School Bash fundraiser this coming Saturday at the Fish Pond, which is a great event. And the foundation's next first school board meeting for the year, our foundation board meeting, is next Friday, September 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. Technology, Dr. Chmielewski.
At the high school, there are older devices that have their batteries being replaced on a rolling basis. We think that'll be done within the next 2 weeks. The vendor that we purchased them from did not have an adequate number when we put the PO in, so we're waiting for manufacturing to catch up. There were some initial issues with the Chromebooks when they were first sent out regarding filtering and how we were going to push apps out. So unfortunately, we can't block individual apps. So the process now is that the students have to put in a request to have an app approved. Once it goes through the approval list, then it can be pushed out. So you can't use the Chrome store anymore. Sorry, that's the way it is. Yes, and all the cameras will stay blocked. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We have this evening for our for her first meeting of the year, Gabrielle Audi. So any report this evening?
Yes, there's many things going on right now this time of year on the student level. Mini-thon's been very active. The captains have a meeting all summer. We went canning for Mini-thon all around Sinking Spring. About 20 kids participated in that. We raised a lot of money. We had a Rita's fundraiser this past Thursday for Mini-thon as well. Some teachers came out and scooped Italian ice, so that was really fun and successful. And next weekend we have our Gold Out football game. Before that, we have an assembly on the 16th on the half day. We're going to have a speaker come in, and his daughter had cancer before, so he's going to be a really powerful speaker and kind of get the kids excited for Mini-thon. 19th is the Gold Out game. We're going to be selling accessories, and we're going to be canning there to raise money. The Gold Out is like all the fans dress in gold and try and support Mini-thon, and it's all for a good cause. After that, the 20th, the next morning, is a pancake fundraiser breakfast at Applebee's. Tickets are $5 for kids, $8 for adults, and if you're interested in purchasing them, you can talk to me after the meeting, or you can buy them at the door when you go there. This past weekend, our students volunteered to help blow up a balloon arch for Laney's 5K. This raised money for Laney's Legacy of Hope. And this coming Sunday, the I'm Able Duathlon is going on. Our students are volunteering at this 5K race. And this charity actually just donated an adaptive equipment for a student at Wilson Southern Middle School. So they have connections to our school, so we like supporting them as well. On that same day as the pancake breakfast, we have alumni tours coming up. So we're having some students come volunteer to show alumni around the school and kind of show them how much it's changed since they've been here. And one more thing, I will not be here next week because I'll be a counselor at Camp Sotara for the 6th graders. So Amina Sturu will be filling in for me. She's my vice president, so you guys will get to meet her then. And that's all.
Great. I can tell you that my daughter is looking forward to that camping outing, so great.
Time.
And so, we appreciate you giving your time, to welcome that experience for those 6th graders. So thank you, and thank you for that report.
You're welcome.
Mr. Maravich, any report? Okay. Yes, why don't we start with non-agenda public participation. Diana Green is here to speak on the topic of the foreign exchange student policy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm an alumni of Wilson. I graduated in 1991. And 2 years ago, I was here to plea for a Vietnamese exchange student to be accepted after I moved into the district. I'm proud to say that you guys approved her for 11th grade. Then she transferred to Berks Catholic for 12th grade, and she's currently a freshman at Alvernia University. So you were an important part of her falling in love with Berks County and her path to success. So thank you for that. Now this year, I got a call about a week and a half ago about an emergency placement of an exchange student that had flown into the United States, and it turned out that her host family was not appropriate for her. Now for a minute, imagine you're 15 years old, you're in a foreign country, and you don't know anybody here, and your host family is very inappropriate. They called and they asked me if I would host the student, and I said I would, but Wilson has rules. I said, and I know their deadline is June 1st, and I've missed that, or July 1st, so I don't know if they'll accept it. And so there were a lot of phone calls and dropping paperwork off and trying to reach people. So I'd like you to consider amending your foreign exchange student policy, that perhaps in the first week of school, if a student is in need of an emergency placement, maybe we could make it a little bit easier to get an answer a little bit faster. This girl was from Mexico, and she went 12 days without a school, without a family, without anything, because we couldn't get an answer fast enough. So I ask that you take that under consideration. And the second question I have for the board is there's nothing in the foreign exchange student policy about having a spring semester student. These are kids that come in January and they're only here for the third and fourth quarter and they go home in June. It's a great opportunity for seniors in other countries that have met all of their graduation requirements and want to expand their horizons. So if we would decide to host a spring student, I need to know what your rule would be on that because there is no policy for it. One of the programs that we do that's in light of the 9/11 anniversary coming up, there's a program called YES that very specifically looks for students that want to change the world. A lot of them are young Muslim boys that they want to bring over on a short-term basis to expand their horizons. It becomes such a great opportunity. It's supported by the Department of State. They're given scholarships to come. And I think it would open eyes for both the students of Wilson and the students that are coming into the country. So if you would take that into consideration, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green, for your comments, and thank you for opening up your home to these students, and certainly we'll take those comments under advisement. There's certainly benefits to be obtained by both the students coming from other countries and the students that walk the halls of this building. So we'll certainly take that under advisement and get back to you.
Thank you.
We do have some other business regarding PSBA officers. So I believe at this point there are two candidates for president-elect for PSBA in our region. That would be Mark Miller from Centennial School District and Mary Burks. Actually, it's not from our region. This would be statewide. Or Mary Burks Mount Lebanon School District. So at this point, is there a motion to accept one of those candidates to be voted on at this time?
Just a question.
Yes.
The asterisks, what do they represent next to names?
Endorsed by the PSBA.
Yes.
So you have to elect one,
Correct.
and they've endorsed both.
Yes.
Helpful.
Okay.
Thanks for the
I have a
help.
question.
That's a first.
I have a question. Jay, do you
Mrs.
have
Reed.
any recommendation?
Honestly, with those two particular candidates, I do not.
I find it very difficult. I mean, to me, it's problematic. I mean, to vote unless you personally know these individuals or have had the opportunity to look at their positions when you have endorsements that are greater than the number in the positions. I mean, I don't feel comfortable voting for, I mean, I'm sure many, if not all, of these people are well qualified, but I personally, don't know anything about these candidates, and when you have endorsements for positions where there's more than one, I don't know how to vote, and I would be, I think I would be comfortable voting, like for example in the at-large where there's one candidate endorsed. I would be comfortable following the endorsement of PSBA, but I mean, maybe my colleagues feel differently, and I would respect that. But I would abstain on votes that where there's multiple people endorsed for one position.
Mr. Martin?
Well, obviously, I've read all their bios, and what's that? Oh, okay. I would recommend for President-elect Mark Miller, Vice President Robert Schwartz. And contrary to what Jason just said, I understand his position, but Michael Melke is very qualified because he brings a different approach to it. From the standpoint, he has a vocational background in education, which I think is well needed in that legislative. So he would have been my first choice for at-large, and my second choice would have been Gary Smedley. How do you pronounce Smedley? Sorry. But anyway, that's where I was coming from. I looked at them all, and I tried the pros and cons. Robert Schwartz has a financial background. He made some good points about understanding the drain that cyber schools create within our system. So that's how I came to some of the conclusions after I read them all. But you two folks are going to vote.
Any other comments? I think it'd be best served if we, at this point, vote on a president-elect. Obviously, Mr. Martin has shared his endorsement for Mr. Miller. Does anyone care to speak on the endorsement of Ms. Burks?
Well, I mean, because
I can tell you Mr. Miller is the incumbent.
I mean, what I would do for purposes, and I think it's consistent with what we've done in the past, is as Mr. Martin is chairman or oversees our legislative affairs, is I would second his motion based on his recommendation for his endorsed candidates to allow a vote by the board for all of those endorsed candidates based on Mr. Martin's review and analysis and recommendation.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So that being said, at this point with a second, we have Mark Miller, we have Robert Schwartz, and we have Michael Melnick. So is there a motion to close the nominations at this point and put that to a vote? Mr. Ehrlich, seconded by Mr. Wolf. With that, could we have a roll call on the candidates that are on the table at this time?
Mrs. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Shimeleski.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hopper.
Yes.
Mrs. Menn.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. McGreevy.
Yes.
9-4, none against.
Okay.
All cast their votes in the warrant.
Thank you very much. Is there any other business from the board on non-agenda items this evening? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting? Mrs. Mack, is there
During the meeting.
is there a second? Dr. Chmielewski, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Good night, and thank you.